If you've been wondering about the podcasting options available to you, then gather around the campfire, kids. It's time to talk about the 4 levels of podcasting. Welcome to the official National Podcast Post-Month podcast. My name is Jennifer Navarrete, and I'm the founder of NaPodPomo, and this podcast is your guide to navigate your way through the 30-day Global Podcast Challenge. In this episode, we're kicking off the second part of a 3-part series. We're going to talk about gear and tech. Yesterday, I focused on environment as it relates to delivering a good audio experience. Today, we're going to spend a little time identifying what I describe as the 4 levels of podcasting. So let's dive in, shall we? Level 1, mobile plus apps. If you have a mobile phone and any number of mobile apps to record your podcast or even use social media apps like X where you can use spaces, then you have everything you need to be a podcaster right now. And as I've said in previous episodes, your mobile phone is the production studio in your pocket. Now, if you think people are going to say because you're, quote, only using a phone to podcast, that you aren't a real podcaster, those folks are the naysayers and they have no business in your podcasting world. As a longtime podcaster and podcast producer, I can tell you that having all the fancy mics and gear is not what makes me a podcaster. What makes me a podcaster is recording and sharing my mission and message with the world, which is what I'm doing with you right here, right now. And you can do it too, all with your mobile phone. Level 2, USB mic plus laptop computer. You've got a USB mic and you want to dig into podcast recording options, whether that be online with tools like Descript, CleanFeed, Riverside, or any number of online platforms available to you. Or you may want to download a dedicated recording app like Audacity, which is an open source, read free, cross-platform for Mac, Windows, or Linux. And if you have a Mac, then GarageBand comes natively within your computer, so you're ready to record your podcast right now. There are paid options like Reaper, Adobe Audition, Hindenburg Journalist, and so many others. Which one is the right one for you? Well, the one that makes sense to you. Each does the job. Try them out and you'll find the one that makes sense. Be aware that unless you're a live stream podcaster, then level 2 is when you will be getting into the nitty-gritty of podcast production. I personally enjoy the process of editing my audio files. I call myself an audio magician, and it certainly feels like I'm creating magic in the studio. However, that may not be your thing. So another option is to hire out editing or to get comfortable with going live. Level 3, dedicated podcast studio. You've been bitten by the podcast bug and you're all in. So you've decided you're going to build a dedicated studio either in your office or your home. You're going to sound buffer the room and get your gear set up so that it's ready to go with a push of a button. I'm coming to you live from my own dedicated studio, which is a room in my house that has padded flooring, wall, window, and door treatments, and other soft surfaces to buffer those sound waves. I also use this space for live streaming, virtual events, and video podcast production for myself and for my clients. If the 2005 version of Jennifer could see herself now, she'd be giddy. Because I heard about this thing called podcasting and decided to see what it was all about. My life has totally changed, and you might be surprised to see what comes from your foray into podcasting. You've heard me say before, see where podcasting can take you during National Podcast Post Month. And I say this because so much has happened in my life because of podcasting, and I hear the same from the many folks who participate in NaPodPomo year after year after year. Level 4, work with a podcast producer. If you know you have a mission and message to share with the world, and you know podcasting should be part of that, but the tech side of podcasting is just not your cup of tea, then working with a podcast producer who can take you from idea to launch and beyond is an investment well worth your time. I say that because I work as a podcast producer and have a front row seat to the transformation that happens when talented and driven entrepreneurs, small businesses, and nonprofits embrace podcasting. It's transformational. So what should you be doing for a challenge like NaPodPomo? I'd say for the most part, level 1 or level 2 is going to fit the bill. Ready to take podcasting seriously? Take a look at what NaPodPomo sponsor Blueberry has to offer you. If you have an audio podcast that you'd like to see turned into a video podcast and put on YouTube, Blueberry has a service called Pod2Vid. Visit blueberry.com to learn more. Use promo code NaPodPomo for 1 month of free hosting. And if you're looking for community, join the daily NaPodPomo support sessions hosted by Creative Work Hour. Connect with your fellow NaPodPomo community on Facebook, X, or Hive. Links for everything is in the show notes. In the next episode, which is the final in the 3-part series, I will share some tried and true tips and best practices.